Good evening, chat. We are back with another episode of our rants and raves that we usually do over on Facebook. Which reminds me, before we begin, so in today's episode of our rants and raves, we're going to be going over Casey Xander. This is one of the many podcasts that we've gone over in the last few years. As you can see off to the right here, Casey Xander is one of the channels that we followed. Rich Cooper with Entrepreneurs in Cars is one that we followed. Success Chasers with Jordan Peterson is one that we've kind of followed along with, and so is Myron with Fresh and Fit. Tonight's video, however, will be with Casey Xander. This will be, obviously, one trait women love that most men don't have. And we're going to go over it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to discuss it, we're going to break it down, and we're going to rant about it. The last few days have been very, very hectic for me, so I apologize for my absence. In regards to the uploading of the videos and stuff, we found out some pretty big news. Some pretty big news, needless to say. So, I have definitely been a bit preoccupied with work as usual, but then other very personal issues as well. So, without further ado, we're going to go over it. We'll get into it, and we'll discuss it as we go. Okay?
Today's video, I wanted to discuss with you a topic that is going to wildly enhance your life when it comes to your success, your ability to date and attract high-quality companions, your ability to succeed in business, and ultimately your ability to influence other people in the direction that you would like them to be influenced, so that way you can get what it is that you'd like in this life. This video is going to be probably one of the most impactful, and I think that this video is probably going to be something that I have never shared on this channel because I haven't thought of it, but it is a belief that I have lived by since I was probably about 17 or 18 years old, and it has served me far better than any other belief that I can even think of. So with that said, let's dive in. The topic that I'm going to be covering today is why you must put yourself first. Now, don't close out of the video. Don't think that, okay, I already know what putting yourself first means, because you don't. And I'm going to go very deep with this, because if you look at how most people live their life, they don't put themselves first in anything. Before I can even preface this, we have to actually look at your conditioning. You were probably taught to be a good person, always give others your time, always give others your attention, always put other people before yourself, always make sure other people are taken care of because they'll probably do the right thing and also take care of you.
We're going to pause it right there. And this is completely accurate, chat. This is an idea that I think most men, at least within my age group, are kind of qualified in being brought up and raised in that a lot of men are brought up with this ideology that, you know, your household comes first. You know, one thing that was instilled in me at a very young age was that we come last as men, as husbands, as fathers, that our needs come last. You know, the hierarchy usually sits somewhere around kids, wife, work, and then us, right? And that couldn't be further from the truth. Unfortunately, this is a how do we say? It's an incorrect way of thinking. And we'll get into that more throughout the video, and obviously it goes without saying, you have to put yourself first, and this is the difference between your average guy and your 1% of guy. Okay, this is the difference between the guy who gets shit done and then the guy who talks about getting shit done. okay? And as we've discussed before in several other videos that we've done in the past, where we've gone over how complacency is one of the number one killers of a relationship, and this falls into that category as far as not taking yourself seriously goes, and not being able to put yourself above your family and your kids. And I know that sounds selfish. Bear with me. We'll keep going, but this is what we're looking at.
And as long as you meet other people's needs, they'll reciprocate, and guess what? Your needs will be met too. I can't tell you how further that is from the truth than anything I've ever seen. Okay, before I even dive into the meat and beans of this video, because I have a lot of stuff laid out here, you need to come to the conclusion that you have a duty to your own success. Okay, think about that. A duty. Like, it is your duty. If you're on this earth, it is your duty to succeed. It is your duty to succeed and build the life that you want. Here's why. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is going to do it for you. Nobody is going to get the financial success for you that you probably want. Nobody is going to build the empire for you that you want. Nobody is going to teach you the charisma and the internal skills to attract the type of companion that you want. Nobody's going to do it. You have to go out in this world and you have to get everything that you think you deserve. You have to go and conquer the things that you think you deserve. With that said, you have a duty to success, and this is why you must put yourself first.
So we're going to pause it again, and this is, again, this falls back to that whole, you have been trained by society, you have been trained by this ideological model that you come last, and that's very detrimental to not only you and your personal growth as a man, as an adult male, but it's also detrimental to your family in return, because obviously you put everything that you're doing on the back burner and you end up compromising things, right? One of the things that I've been very passionate about in my life that I've been doing for the last 10 years is security. I do private security. The company that I work for, we do both private contract, bodyguard work, and we also do event work, like we've done the county fair every year. We do strip clubs that the community, different parties will arrange for us to do private work for. We've done horse races, so we've done all kinds of things. And so one of my personal passions in life is protecting people. That's kind of what gets my jollies off in life. It's one of the things I've learned to be good at. It's one of the things I've been able to access very early on in life, and as far as being a Pisces goes, being an empath goes, whatever you want to call it. One of my many gifts is being able to read people fairly well, and specifically in a situation of being face-to-face, body language and such. You learn, being in harmful situations frequently enough, what harm looks like on a personal basis, what the tone of voice someone uses, the kind of look in their eye, how the way someone stands, okay? So over the years, and I'm 32, mind you, I've settled many times in my life for forklift work, for construction work like I'm currently doing now, and trying to juggle still the TECC certification that I'm trying to get currently for private security, trying to get my felony expunged, okay? There's a lot of things that end up getting put on the back burner that you might be passionate about, that I'm passionate about in our lives as men, the things that we're even good at. Of course, things get put off to the back burner when this ideology starts setting in of, oh, well, I have to come last. And next thing you know, you're my age, you're 32, and you've got nothing to show for your life. And obviously, this is bad for you, and it's bad for your family, because you end up settling for some deadbeat job, laying carpet or roofing, and you stop pursuing your purpose and your path. And you settle for this mindset of, well, now I've got kids, now I've got a wife, now I've got a girlfriend, whatever the case may be. And now, here you are. And that's not a place that we want any of us to be in, right?
So let's dive into point number one. What actually goes into this? Well, when you put yourself first, that means you always do what is in your best interest. I know it sounds crazy, I know it sounds basic, I know it sounds elementary, but it isn't. Because if you look at how people live their life, they do not do this. Always do what serves you and always do what is in your best interest. I call this being self-serving. I'm going to give you a lot of examples of how I've done this throughout my entire life. Okay, the very first was when I was building my brand and when I was building my business and trying to grow my name, and I had to grow my reputation when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. Okay, that first 4 years in business, nothing else mattered. Okay, you have to audit your own priorities. So routinely, my mom would, for example, try to pull me off center, say, hey, you have to do this, this, and this, or we have this get together with your third aunt that you only see once a year. My default answer is no, I'm not going. I'm just not going to. That's not a priority for me. I'm not going to go waste time doing that. Okay, there's another one. Oh, hey, your XYZ person has a piano recital. You have to go watch. The whole family's going. No, I'm not doing that. Well, why? Why are you so selfish? Because I have to get ahead. Like, I only have limited amount of time on this earth, so I have to do the things that will actually propel me forward. Okay? This is how you have to live. The only way to get ahead is where you put your time. Where you put your time is going to actually serve you. So now let's look at how this works with dating. Okay? When it comes to your own dating life, you have to actually make time to learn how to attract the people that you want. You have to practice going out. You have to practice approaching. You have to practice doing things that are uncomfortable. Okay, for a while, I had to put certain friends on hold that weren't into this or that were content with just not really having anybody. Okay, I had to put those friends on hold or cross them out for a while, so I could go out, I could meet new friends, I could develop a bigger social circle of abundance, and I could develop the skills that I needed.
We're going to pause again, and this is probably one of the more important pieces of information that you really should consume from content like this. Content being red pill, if you will. This is a part of swallowing some of that red pill content and being able to digest it and apply it properly. Is that there's a saying in the red pill community, and that is, show me your 4 friends and I'll show you the 5th, right? If you're hanging out with 4 losers, you are absolutely the 5th loser, right? You show me 4 porn addicts, you'll be the 5th, right? And this doesn't necessarily just apply to men; this applies to women as well. However, due to the fact that this is mostly a men's help, men's dating, men's red pill channel, that's what the audience we're geared toward is. But it absolutely applies to women as well. You show me 4 gossipers, you'll be the 5th, right? You show me 4 drama queens, you'll be the 5th, okay? Who you surround yourself with is a part of what makes you who you are, and more importantly so as a man. The kind of people you hang out with, your clan, if that's what you want to call it. And we'll go into another, trust me, I've got lots and lots and lots of videos lined up for content for in the future. But, in a later video, we'll get further down that rabbit hole and as far as the deeper shit goes. But as men, we have no one to go to for our problems but us, right? There's never an appropriate time to share things with women. And this is why I advocate personally so very frequently that men and women aren't friends, because men and women are not friends. There's no friendship to be had between men and women, right? Women will never understand the struggles of men. There's just a huge gap in mentality and responsibility. So it doesn't benefit you as a man to have female friends. It just doesn't. So with that being said, the kind of people you surround yourself with, men obviously, will now dictate the pace of your mentality and your course in life. Are you surrounding yourself with types of men who are you surrounding yourself with strong men? Are you surrounding yourself with sincere men? Are you surrounding yourself with losers and fuckboys? Are you surrounding yourself with, pot smokers, people who fucking sit around and smoke weed all day? Are you, surrounding yourself with the kind of guys who work at grocery stores and bag chips all day, right? The value that we get from each other as men is unparalleled compared to, of that of women. Okay? There is only one occasion as men where it's acceptable to give a woman any kind of emotion, to give a woman any kind of emotional satisfaction, if that's what you'll want to call it, to take off the mask, if that's a better way of wording it, and that's in death. Okay, we're talking death of a family member. That's the only time. You come home from work and your boss has been a fucking cunt to you all day. Don't tell your old lady about it. The kids are giving you a rough time. Don't tell the old lady about it. There is absolutely no reason, none whatsoever, to invest. No, that's the wrong word. Not invest emotionally. There's no correct answer outside of death in giving a woman your emotional state, because we know, as red pill aware men, as men who have digested a bit of that reality, that content, the reality of things, that women don't take kindly to emotion. Women don't take kindly to weakness, and that's what emotion is weakness. So who do we turn to then as men, right? When we have problems, when we have a death, when we have bad news, when we have shit going on in our life, we have each other. Okay? And that's where the male friendship, the male companionship comes in, like a brotherhood. And I'm not military, I won't pretend like I am. But your brotherhood that you might see in a military aspect, your Marines, your Army, the types of relationships where you trust each other with your life, that's where we come into play with each other as men. Those friendships are completely invaluable in those situations because that's all we have is each other, right? At no point should a man ever be raised in that you're alone and you have no one to turn to. That's completely incorrect and false. You have other men to turn to, and you should be surrounding yourself with a community of men that you can turn to, right? If the people that you hang out with don't clap for your success, then you're hanging out with the wrong crowd, right? If you're hanging out with the kind of, and no homo, if you're not hanging out with the type of dudes who check in on you, you're hanging out with the wrong crew, okay? So the circle of people that you surround yourself with is completely invaluable as adult men, but I digress.
Did they probably think I was rude at the time? Yes, but because I was self-serving, I was able to develop the skills at a young age that I needed. Okay, the last is I'm going to give you an example with friends. Okay, routinely when I was building my body, and especially when I was like building CZ Fitness, because that's what I did, is I worked on my physique, I worked on my strength, because the main thing that the service I was doing is I was helping people get fit. Because of that, I had to look the part. So every day after school or every day after work, okay, if people would go out, or people would go out to the bar when I turned 21, things like that. Hey, it's Friday. Can you go? Can you go? Can you go? We're gonna meet here at 5. The answer was no. I had to take care of my fitness. I have to do that. I'll meet you after, but first I have to get this done. Okay? Everything in life, you have to be self-serving with your time, or you will live the life of a 99%er. And if you look at the life of a 99%er, most dudes specifically, like, they have no financial success, they have no charisma, they have no game, right? They have no influence, they are not confident, and it's because where they put their time is not correct by default. The only way to make it correct by default is actually doing what is in your best interest. So make no mistake, this right here, what I'm teaching you, this is the only way to get ahead. There might be a lot of people out there that claim there's multiple ways to get ahead, and I maybe agree with certain tactics to an extent, but you know what? We all have 24 hours, and where you put your 24 hours and where you sharpen those skills is going to be where you succeed. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's just how it is. Tom Brady won all those Super Bowl rings because he got really good at football. Okay.
We're going to pause again because this is, again, important information that I don't think so many of you are really understanding. And this is something that I at least wasn't taught as a young man growing up, not even by my grandfather. In principle or in theory, is that in 24 hours, you have 24 hours in a day. And where you allocate that time is... Oh my fucking God. This dumb bitch. Where you put your time is where you're going to see growth, right? Where you water your plants is the plants you're going to see grow. And this includes women. This includes friendships. This includes family members. This includes everything in life. absolutely everything. Wherever you're putting your attention is what's going to grow. Okay? And you'll see this very frequently in like high school groups of friends where maybe, you'll have a great group of buddies, right? And maybe some of you go off to the military and some of you go off to be, pot growers and smokers, and some of you go off to be chip baggers at the grocery store, and some of you grow up to be entrepreneurs, right? Maybe you had this one guy who, dedicated himself to the gym 24/7, and this dude lives and breathes sit-ups, pull-ups, push-ups, you name it, he does it. Maybe you got friends who are, big gun fanatics, and they live and breathe the First and Second Amendment, okay? You have these constitutionalists, right? Wherever it is that you, Jesus fucking Christ, wherever it is that you put your attention to is where you're going to grow and succeed in life, and this reflects back onto us as men, and in return reflects in our life around us, right? And one thing that I've always told women in regards to dating advice, and one thing we've seen for certain, is that you'll know a man by his fruits. Okay, you'll know a man by the fruit that he bears. Okay, you can tell you're getting involved with a loser because his life will be very loser-ish, right? You can tell you're getting involved with a dude who's successful because the people that he surrounds himself with are successful. The things that he produces are successful, right? You could tell you're getting with a guy who lives a life of mediocrity because everything in his life is pretty mediocre, right? And the reality of that situation is that everything that we do reflects on us, right? I've been there more than once in my life where I've had to put certain friends down. One of my oldest friends in California, he and I were like brothers for a long, long time. And unfortunately now, as grown adults, he's a raging alcoholic and is a mama's boy. And do I still love him? Of course I do. But on more than one occasion, he and I have had to separate for at least a few months at a time because he'll get into his drinking and I won't be able to talk to him. He's just intolerable to be around because he doesn't know any better, and that's partially his fault, partially not, but due to those kinds of things, those friendships, where he puts his time is into drinking, is into maintaining mediocre jobs to maintain the drinking habit that he has, right? And while he might be a good dude on the inside, the life he's producing for himself and those around him isn't so good, which in turn reflects back onto me as someone who hangs out with someone like that, right? So this applies to every aspect of life. It doesn't matter if it's your brother, if it's your sister, if it's your parents, if it's your girlfriend, if it's a girl that you're looking at dating, or if it's a homie. Where you allocate your time is where your fruits will grow.
Michael Phelps won all those gold medals swimming because he got really good at swimming. Like, you need to pick the things you want to get good at, and you need to stick to it like glue. And the second you deviate, just know somebody else is going to be better than you because they won't deviate, and they'll take your cookie or they'll take your spot when you wish that would have been you. The more you are self-serving, the more you'll get ahead. So I have to tell you this with it. At first, you will be hated. Okay, this is the motto I live by. First, you're hated, and then you're admired. Okay, my whole first 5 years living this way, it was you're selfish, you're rude, you don't make time for others, you should feel sorry for yourself that you think this way. Then, as success started to come my way, whether it would be with building my body or with building the brand, building the business, all of a sudden you start hiring, you're having employees, you're starting to take care of other people, you're starting to learn how to generate profits within your business. All of this is so important, okay? If you're still watching, the reason why I mentioned business so much is because that became the backbone or the cornerstone of like who I am. And that's why I highly recommend you too check out the new business channel, okay? It's called Xander Consulting. I have a link below. Subscribe to that channel because I literally post on that channel every single day, teaching you behind the scenes footage of how I built my business and every single mindset trait that helped generate me multiple millions of dollars. At first you're hated and then you're admired, okay? Then people start to say, how'd you do it? Oh, how'd you get ahead? You must be born lucky. You must be such a lucky guy, Casey. Look how lucky you are. Look how lucky you are that you get to just have an audience, or look how lucky you are you get to sell those programs, or look how lucky you are you get to build a physique like that. It's nothing to do with luck. It's nothing to do with luck at all.
Look at this girl. No, really look at her. She's gorgeous, right? I'm sure you see
I put my time in places where 99% of people aren't willing to. Therefore, I have more results than 99% of people. That's just really all there is to it. Okay, how do you do this? I have a little line under this because now we're going to shift to the how. How do you do this? Well, you want to start by cutting out bad friends. Okay, what's a bad friend? A bad friend is not somebody necessarily, it's not like they're not there for you. They're probably a good friend, but where they're putting their time and the things they'd like to do with you, it's laughable for how embarrassing it is for such a waste of a life. If you have friends like that, just stop. Here's what you do. You start returning the text slower, okay? Then you eventually return them like every other day and then once a week, and then you stop checking in. And like, that's just how you do it. You don't have to have a hard conversation like, hey, I can't hang out with you. You just have to slowly pull back. Eventually, most people get the message, okay? After you do that, now you have to have an honest priority system. Like, you have to be honest with yourself for a second. Like, where do you actually put your time? What I would recommend doing, get a massive notebook like I have, okay? Jot down hour for hour in a whole day what you do and where you put your time. Everything. That way you can actually see on paper how far you're moving the needle to push it in the right direction to actually get the success that you claim you want but are probably not working towards. This one belief system of putting myself first in every way might have been self-serving in the short term, but in the long term, I was able to give back to others with more value than I would have ever been able to, due to the fact that I made myself specifically skilled in a few areas that were very, very important to me. So, with that said, there's multiple links below I want you to check out. The first is my one-to-one coaching link. If you're looking for one-to-one guidance, one-to-one...
We're going to pause it again. And this is really, really important for everyone to understand, in that where, and I really can't stress this enough, where you put your time is where you're going to produce fruit, right? And as most of you know and have seen personally, as I interact with a great many of you personally, in either in Discord or in World of Warcraft or in real life even, you'll see that bookshelf back there, okay? I read like a motherfucker. Everything from law to trying to read basic medicine, okay? And I have no interest in like pharmaceuticals, but in taking my TECC certification specifically for private security, trauma response is one of the things that we have to learn, okay? As agents, as the official title is called, as an agent, as someone who protects people on a regular basis. While there are many ways in which you can protect someone, by means of guns, by means of firearms, by means of martial arts, there's also the very real reality of what happens if you get stabbed, what happens if you get shot, what happens if you have a heart attack, okay? What happens if you choke on something? Do you have a basic CPR understanding? Okay, do you have a basic IED understanding? Okay, can you paddle someone if it comes right down to it? And it's more or less, I don't want to say it's not a first responder certification in regards to like ambulances, okay? Because paramedics are trained specifically in the field of what a ambulance can provide them. Okay, so there's a lot of technology that they're trained to use because that's what's available within an ambulance. Those of us who do private security, those of us who are you know, either veterans or maybe even you know, First Amendment types of folks, okay, you're constitutionalists, in a real life shit hit the fan situation, in a real life situation of something happens, an ambulance certification, a first responder certification, and understanding will do you practically no good because you are not trained in what an ambulance uses, right? You have what's in the field, you have what's in your pack, what's in your bag, you have what's within your personal bag to use to stop someone from bleeding, from choking, from, creating a splint for them in the field. Okay, someone breaks their leg, compressing a wound correctly. Okay, so there's a lot of means by means of firearms and such martial arts that you can protect someone. There's also ways that don't involve firearms. There's medical ways as well, right? And so one of the focuses of that for me is, as someone who cannot legally own a firearm just yet, is understanding other avenues in which you can protect someone, other avenues in which you can save someone's life without the use of a firearm. And that falls back to, the tech certification that I'm looking at. Okay? And that again includes compressing wounds, being able to make a splint, lots of things. Okay? So there's lots and lots and lots of consumption that I have right here on these shelves. So a good chunk of my time when not working, which is a bulk of my time, is self-serving in regards to spending time with men who help me flourish, spending time with people who encourage me, spending time with my books, and learning the best that I can within my own means to do so, right? Can I go join a college? Sure. Okay. But is that going to be as useful in a situation that I want to get into on a professional level? Probably not, right? So, again, just to kind of sum everything up here, I know I have a tendency to rant, sorry, not sorry. Where you put your time, who you give your time to, and what you give your time to is all a matter of self-reflection in regards to how seriously do you take yourself? How seriously do you take the people around you? Okay.
Help with me, okay, you can go down below and you can book a call with my brother Cole. Cole will get you squared away on that interview and he'll show you exactly how I can help. Okay, number 2, I want you to check out my Patreon. I show you behind the scenes footage to help craft your personality, and this is stuff I can't release on YouTube and I don't release on YouTube, but is specifically reserved for Patreon. Last but not least, we have about 190 seats open inside the MBT Masculinity Blueprint Accelerator for Q2. Okay, what does that mean? That means when we hit 2,000 people, we are shutting this down. Now, I know that seems like a big claim, but here's what you have to remember. When you have, this channel is nearing 300,000 subscribers, it's going to fill up quick. Which means if this flagship program that you've heard me talk about now for 3 years on this channel, if you want to get into this, now is the time. Because like I've said, I'm going through a slight career change and career shift, and I don't know if I'm going to keep that open after Q2 when we hit 2,000 guys. So hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. And that's the end of the video. But, and completely off topic, completely unrelated, you notice a lot of these services. So, what's the one video? What is it? I can't remember the name of the channel. I think it's Love Chat. I think it's Love Chat is what it's called. Yep. Okay. So, this particular channel right here. Now, these, and obviously your more red pill, your entrepreneurs in cars, your oh, there it is. Your Andrew Tate.
It doesn't matter if you have 10,000.
It doesn't matter. Whoops. You'll very frequently see these guys having like a Patreon or some sort of means in which to get money. Now, I'm not advocating one way or the other. You got to make your money how you make your money, okay? And I'm not giving any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Validation to the services that they may or may not provide, as I have not purchased them myself and won't. Okay. That being said, as men, as human beings, if you're good at something, you never do it for free. Okay. Now again, while Dr. Jordan Peterson on Success Chasers on YouTube has his own sort of Patreon and sort of newsletter. While Entrepreneurs in Cars has their own, Patreon and group of followers, while Love Chat, all these different content creators, they have their own little paid-for clique, if you will. And again, I'm not advocating one way or the other as to whether or not they're validating and work or not. But what I can tell you that is, as someone who is good at protecting people, as someone who has spent the last 10 years of their life dedicating to a very specific avenue of work, as most of you know, professional security services. Todd James is the owner. He's the one who I work for. Okay. I've been working for him for let's see. Sage and I were together for almost 7 years. I've been single for about 3. So, the better part of 10 years, I have been in this line of work, irregularly, of course, but frequently enough, at least in the first half of living here, that I feel like I have a very core understanding and idea of responsibility in regards to the people that I work with and work around. Okay, so specifically the Hispanic community here in Southern Idaho, the private personnel that we've worked with individually here in Idaho. I've done this long enough to be able to have an understanding of what it means and what it entails to do my job correctly compared to some schmuck throwing on a t-shirt and acting like he's a cop. Okay. The line of work that I've invested a lot of time and money and research into, both physically and mentally, it's not a service that I would do for free because I'm good at it. Okay. The advice that I mean, obviously I'm not Entrepreneurs in Cars. I'm not, well into my 50s with, several hot rods and my own mansion. Okay. As we can see, I'm at where I'm at. Okay. So who am I to qualify you? Who am I to give you advice? For all intents and purposes, I'm a nobody. Okay. I'm a guy who went through a really rough breakup. Okay. Completely lost my shit. Lost myself, really. And in a 7-year-long relationship, I found myself becoming we instead of me. Okay, so when that relationship ended, I was lost. Okay, so I'm nobody but another schmuck who had no direction, who didn't know where to go, and had nowhere to go but up. Okay, so you can take the advice for a grain of salt, take what you can, and leave the rest. Okay, but at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to yourself, and I have a responsibility to myself. The difference is my responsibility to me goes beyond just me, because my responsibility extends to you as well. I have been given the responsibility and the integrity of this particular platform in order to use this to reach out to other people. Okay, and I wouldn't consider myself a content creator yet, not by any stretch of the imagination, but as someone who cares a great deal about themselves, selfishly, I don't give a fuck, sorry, not sorry, and as someone in turn who then gives a fuck about the people around him, you now become my responsibility as my viewer, as someone who spends time here, who takes the time to digest the things that are said and take away what you can and then apply it to your life. That becomes my responsibility. Okay? And that is something that I take quite seriously. So, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a priest, I'm not a voodoo doctor, okay, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy who went through a rough breakup and had nowhere to go but up, and have spent the last 3 years doing his best to be better than he was before. Okay? And again, am I in a mansion with supercars? Of course not. But I'm a lot better now, both financially and mentally, than I was 3 years ago. And that's a lot in a time span of 3 years. So hopefully that's something that you can apply to your life in some way, shape, or form as well. So, with that being said, good luck, best wishes, and I will catch you guys